All right, back at it. Another episode of the More to It podcast. I am the host, Jay Moore, with Hail Varsity Magazine, hailvarsity.com, and I am pleased to be joined by one of my favorite people to spend time with. I spend a lot of time with him this time of year. He helps me on my golf game. He's one of the best to do it, not only in Nebraska, but in the Midwest. He knows a lot about the game of golf. He's been around his whole life. Mr. Mike Schuchart joins us today on the More to It podcast. Schu, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks
Good.
for having me.
Yeah, man. We just got done working a little bit.
We did. Nice little session.
Nice little session. Yeah. I always call it just kind of like getting your checkups, get your vitamins once a month.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, that's the way the game is, and that's the way it works, man. You build your golf swing to what you want, and what you know, and how you're comfortable when you're out there playing, and you got to maintain it. You know, it's not something that you just get once and you keep. I mean, it's something you got to continually work on all the time. You got to maintain it all the time, you know, to keep it. I refer it to like a car, man. You don't, just because you buy a car, you always got to take it in and get it tuned up. Mm-hmm. So our golf swing's the same way. You got to keep it tuned up so it's working efficiently all the time.
Yeah, it's always funny because you get to know your golf swing and feels and certain things, and my biggest thing is you got to see it, what's real versus what's real, because you're feeling something or you think you're doing something, but it's like, oh my God, it's not that. I was telling you, my issue in the lesson we just did was my head was falling back. I was kind of hanging back on it. My feel was I was trying to stay more on my left side, taking it away, but it's like, no, you dummy. Like when you stay more left in your takeaway, you got to fall back, because the game of golf is opposites.
It is, and it's balance. And it's like when you move a certain way. I mean, that's how we're built. I mean, you slip on ice, what do? You try to rebalance yourself so you don't fall down. So a golf swing has movement patterns to it, and it's all about staying in balance as you do that. So you create certain movement patterns, your body will recorrect to stay in balance as you swing the golf club. So it's like when those start to get offline, we're smart. All of us are really amazing on what it is that we do. It's just that sometimes we get off, and then it creates a habit or a problem that we don't even know is happening, you know, to do what it wants to do. So it's like we just keep those things in check. We manage those things to make sure they don't get too far out of a line.
Mm-hmm. How'd you get, I mean, people listen to this or around here locally, obviously familiar with your name, but you've played in 7 major championships, 3 U.S. Opens, 4 PGAs. Your dad was in the golf business for many, many years. Head pro over at Holmes for
30 plus years.
30 plus years here in Lincoln. Just your start getting up in golf. I mean, because you played it at the highest of levels. You played at Nebraska. You played PGA Tour. But just you going in the game of golf.
I don't think I really had a choice.
Right.
You know, because my grandfather actually was a golf pro way back. He was a very good player. He actually had the lead in the U.S. Open in 1926. So
wow.
A lot of people don't know that. And then I remember him telling me stories, and he was playing at Oakmont.
Okay.
And he got into the church pews bunkers, and he couldn't get out, so his lead evaporated pretty quickly. But that was way back, man. That was before golf was what it really is today. I mean, $500 would be a winning first place prize back then.
Yeah.
So my dad worked for him in Omaha at Happy Hollow for a long time, and then my dad got a job down here. He was assistant at Hillcrest for 3 years, so we moved down here when I was 5, and then he got the head pro job at Holmes. So I kind of grew up on a golf course and fell in love with the game, you know, and I've been very fortunate to be able to stay around the game and do things in the game of golf, you know. So it's like I've never really worked a day in my life, you know. I've been around something I love to do. Not many people can say that. So really, really fortunate to be able to do that. So
yeah, it is. So rumors has it back you would get garbage cans full of golf balls out at Holmes.
Yeah, that was kind of the routine. I got up in the morning when the sun came up and went home when the sun went down, you know. So it was like I'd hit a garbage can full of golf balls pretty much every day. I'd hit at least 1,500 to 2,000 golf balls a day. I'd play every day. But I liked it, you know. I like to work at it.
Yeah.
I like to understand the game, why it works the way it works. You know, sometimes that's a little bit of a fault because sometimes you just play on reaction, and you should, you know. So, and I did at times. At other times I'd get a little too maybe mechanical. So there's a fine line you have to always, with anything you do, there's a fine line between becoming too mechanical and letting what you train yourself to do be able to just come out and do it. So it's a fascinating game, man.
It is. Well, it's I'm fully engulfed in it. I mean, yeah, I didn't start playing golf till I was in college, freshman year of college. Never really touched a club other than playing the little par 3 course that was right across the street from Elkhorn High School. But you'd maybe go there once or twice a year with your buddies, and you're trying to Happy Gilmore every shot and see if you can. It's just just being silly. Then all of a sudden you try to get good at something, and just your competitive instinct and the ability to want to be good. It took me over, and it's been totally engulfed me, and
it's fun though, man.
Yeah.
It's an addictive game. I mean, once you start hitting some good shots, and you start making pars and making some birdies. I mean, it's just a game. I see it all the time with players that just get started and how addictive the game gets.
Well, it's addicting to get better.
Yeah.
Athletes are always, for me in general, it's like as soon as you start to get good at something, and it's like, whoa. I've always had a rule of thumb: a little bit does a little bit of good, a lot does a lot of good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if I did put this much work into it and I got better, what if I do this?
Yeah.
And
that's why it gets so basically intriguing, because you can never get good enough. That's the thing. And it's like you play the best round you've ever played, but you can look back at that round and go, what if I did this a little better, did this a little better? It can always be better. It can always be better. That's what's so fascinating about it. It's like you'll never reach what you're really capable of doing, So it's like, and you don't know what that is. That's the fun part.
Yeah, it's always people ask you, how's your game? It's work in progress. It's always work in progress. You're always working on something. It's never satisfying.
No, I always say, man, you never own it. You only rent it.
Correct.
Sometimes you get to rent it for a little longer than other times, but you never own it.
It's like buying golf balls. You don't ever own a golf ball. They're for rent.
They're for rent. They go away eventually.
Yeah, that's who kind of taught. I mean, who'd you work with growing up playing? When you're just got, you had your dad, but then
I had my dad.
Yeah.
And then as my game started to get a little bit better, and I started to progress and put myself in position to go play at a higher level. And the father-son thing is always a tough one.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, your dad never knows anything, so it's like. So I worked a lot with Mike Cornell up in Omaha. He helped me a ton. I mean, as I was playing on tour and doing the things out there, he was the one that I worked with a lot and helped me develop to the point that I had gotten to. So, I give a lot of credit to him. And just I like to observe a lot. So being in a situation, playing around really good players, and I even did that as a kid. I remember I was, I think, 14 years old, and I wanted to play in the Michelob Championship as a kid. And it's like, no, you're not old enough. And I was so mad.
Yeah.
But somehow we made it work out, and I got to play and got to play with a lot of the top amateurs around. I just was always observe how did they do what they did, and then I'd go home and try to emulate what they did, because I think a lot of that is how you get better. You see somebody that does something really well, and you start to figure out how to do it. Then you add some knowledge on how it's really happening and doing it, and it makes you better, because you figure out how to hit the shots that they do. That's why they're being competitive, putting themselves in position to win tournaments, because they can do some of these things that I wasn't able to do, or I'm not doing consistently. So you learn from that and what they do, because if you do what they do, you're going to put yourself in position to do it. So a lot of observation, a lot of help from other people. It's you have to have help from other people, because they have experience. You don't. You need to rely on some of that experience to have them help you create some shortcuts. So you don't have to just work through it on your own, and you actually are working correctly. Because sometimes just like you said earlier, it's like what you think you're doing and what's really happening. Sometimes you can get tricked and you start going down the wrong path. So it just helps you staying on the right path to keep improving all the time.
Yeah, I got tricked. You're kind of struggling. You're out playing, and especially when you're playing competitive, you're just like, gosh, you're just trying to find something to hit a good shot. You're just one of those days you don't feel good over the ball, and you try something like, oh, that was actually a good shot. Let's keep trying that. Well, then it's like it kind of you're able to piece something together maybe for that day, but in the long run, it didn't. That's why being as stubborn as I was, I'm like, I can't. I was always one of those guys that, you don't need to see a teacher all the time. You can work this, figure it out on your own. And I'm like, no, I can't. You can't do that. I'm like,
No.
I've had
Golf is not that way.
Right. I finally said, I'm seeing Shu at least once a month.
Yeah, and that's how it should work, because it's just checkups. It's just like anything. You got to make sure that you establish what it is that you're trying to get done. This is how you go about getting it done. These are the things you have to do. So once you establish that and build that, then it's just maintaining that. So it's like, tour professionals have golf coaches. They all have coaches, but it's like they're not really coaches like you think. They're just monitors is what they do, because those guys have gotten there for a reason. It's like they didn't take some guy that was a 25 handicapper and all of a sudden made him a tour player. No, these guys are already super talented. They already know what to do. They fine tune their skills. So, and then they monitor that, because they know when they operate this way at 100% capacity, they're going to perform like this. So their job really is to keep monitoring them, to keep them functioning the same way all the time, to give them the best opportunity to play their best. So they're not changing their golf swings. They're monitoring them, keeping them what they already know how to do, and not letting them start to go down a different path or the wrong path, thinking that might make them better when actually it will end up making them worse. No, this is already what you do. You already win tournaments. You're already on tour. So it's like, let's just keep doing that. So, and then it's just doing that and putting yourself in position enough times that you got to get a little lucky to win a golf tournament, because there's a ton of guys that are really good and they're playing really good that week. So what separates those players? A little luck, doing something that's a little out of the ordinary that week that allows them to separate themselves from the pack. Because no one player out there, I mean, there's very few, Tiger being one, a couple other guys that are just better than everybody else. The top players are really, really good at what they do. I mean, that's just what it is. When they're on top of their game, they're really good at what they do. So it's like you need to do something that's a little out of the ordinary, that you don't do every day, that separates you from the pack. That's what allows you to win the tournament. Tiger's one of those rare examples. He was just better. I mean, he was better than the average player out there. I mean, he just did everything better.
Do you think so? I listen a lot of golf podcasts, but one in particular had Brandel Chambly on, and he said that, like, paraphrasing here, and I don't want to mess it up, but like, I think he said this: Tiger got the least out of his talent because he was always changing for something. He says he could have won 4 to 6 more majors if he does not change his golf swing after in 2003, 2004 when he switched from Butch Harmon to Hank Haney. Even though his win percentage was higher with Hank Haney, but he says he would have won more majors not messing with it after 2000.
I kind of agree with that a little bit, because he was so in the 2000s, man, early 2000s.
Spooky.
It was. I mean, he would win every tournament. He'd win every other tournament basically that he played in. So it's like, and when he came out and he's switching coaches, going to make a swing change, I'm like, why? I mean, you're already better than everybody else. But guys that get to that level, that are that good and that competitive, it's hard for them to stay that way. They get bored. So they always need to be working on something, driving them to get better. And like Tiger always said, he says, you know what? I don't own, his feel was that he didn't own his golf swing yet. So he wanted to own it, know every part about it, have total control over it, and he didn't own it yet. So that was his motivating factor, trying to even get better. So it's like us looking at it going, what the heck? How much better can you get, man? You're already winning every other tournament you play in. When you play really good, you win by 15 shots. So it's like, why would you want to go change? But they don't think that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not going to just stay neutral. They're always driving to get better, and they have to have something that they feel is going to drive them to even make them better than what they already are, and they feel like they can get better than they are. So it's like, who knows, and it's never easy to make swing changes, man. It takes time to get that done. It takes repetition, it takes time. He can shortcut it a little bit because he's so talented and he works really hard at it, so he can shorten that time. But making a swing change is very difficult to do. I mean, it takes a lot of time and repetition to do it.
The mentality to have it. I mean, he wins the Masters going away in '97, and like his golf swing, I want to change it now.
Yeah.
Not. I mean, he just won the Masters by whatever. I don't know how many. 12 shots.
12 shots. Yeah, 40 on the front.
Right,
nine.
right.
It's like, come on.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just the different mentality. And I wanted to ask you this eventually, but we'll just go to now just because we're leading into this before you tell some good stories about your time in playing U.S. Opens and PGA Championships and on tour. Mr. Bryson DeChambeau, what he's doing right now with the game of golf. It's something.
Scary, man.
It's something else, isn't the transformation that
it is.
he's gone through, and just, I mean, you could almost call he's like kind of like Frankenstein, but he's doing it to himself. He's just taking all his energy and putting it into being legitimately the best golfer he can. I mean, just changing the game right in front of our eyes.
Yeah. But the game kind of has been trending that way.
Yeah.
You know, I just think when my years on tour and talking to guys and things like that, everybody tried to figure out what made the best player the best player. So, you know, for a while it was putting. The best putters always were at the top, leading money winners. Man, they putted great that year. They were the leading money winners. So you got to putt really good. You got to do these things. Well, what they started to find, especially now with more statistics being able to be gathered, is that it wasn't putting, because that same guy putted the same, if not better, the year he was number one on the tour. The next year he's 50th.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then it's got to be greens in regulation. No, same thing, man. He won. He was leading that year with that, but he did the same percentages, and he was 50th again. So it's like no correlation, no correlation. So what they finally found with all the data that they're able to gather, it's distance, because distance allows you to hit a shorter club in. So the shorter the club you have in, the proximity that your ball is going to get to the hole is closer. The closer your ball is to the hole, the likelihood of you converting that goes up. So really the thing that makes guys the best is distance. So now you're starting to see all these guys working out. And Tiger had a lot to do with that, because when I was a kid growing up, going back to my grandfather, who I played a lot of golf with when he was still alive when I was a kid, vaguely remember some of it. But one of the things he told me, he forbid me to lift weights, because back then it was thought of as building bulky, slow, you know, not very flexible muscles, you know, so it's not going to benefit you. Well, they found that's the complete opposite, man. You can build strength and power and fast, long muscles by powerlifting. You know, you look at Koepka, man, he does his workouts before he even goes and plays. I mean, they're lifting heavy weights. So they're finding that the XX is a benefit to build strength, stamina, speed, activity of your muscles, getting them ready to do what they want to do, and very powerful. So the game started to change immensely where power, and the statistics prove it. It's like if you can hit a long ways, you can hit a wedge in, you're going to hit that wedge close to the hole, you're going to make more birdies. So now you're seeing all these guys working out more. Again, that's the Tiger fad too. Tiger was a big workout guy. So all these guys are taking it more serious on their physical, their mental, their nutrition. So you just got a bigger, stronger, faster athlete, and they're all working. What can we do to hit the ball farther? So I got shorter clubs in my hand so I can make more birdies. So you're just seeing everybody starting to overpower these golf courses. And Bryson just took it to a whole nother level, you know, and he's a little bit of a nutcase when it comes to that.
Sure.
You know, because he likes to look at that stuff. He's a data guy. He loves that data.
And he's a physics major, like.
Exactly. So he's like, I'm going to make my body be able to do this so I can hit the ball like this. So, and if I do those things, I will be super competitive. And it's proven out. I mean, heck, what the start of this season is amazing. I mean, that's Tigerish, really.
Well, the guy's getting 190 to 200 mile an hour ball speeds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that for an on-course swing.
Exactly.
I mean, those are. I
that's
mean,
long drive guys trying to do that stuff. And again, going back, it's like nobody ever wanted to produce that back in the day, because you couldn't hit it on the planet.
Right.
Well, now you have technology that helps match with those speeds to help you gain control. So it's like you can produce those speeds now, but still hit the ball accurately. So it's like you just make all the golf courses really, really short. So they're a lot easier to manage, you know. And the other part is if you hit it out of play with that, you still got a shorter club that they're good enough that they can get the ball on the green and still make par.
Right.
You know, and it's like if I can hit it 400 yards and I can hit it straight, I don't have to hit it straight every time. But if I can hit it straight some of the time, and if I'm on that week hitting it straight, I'm going to hit a wedge in on every hole. So it's like I'm going to make a lot of birdies. It's hard to make bogeys. You make a lot of birdies, you're going to put yourself in position to be able to win. So that's kind of where the game is going. Big, strong, powerful athletes hit the ball a long ways, and so I call it's a power touch game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was always the old thought, man. If you hit it a long ways, you can't hit it under control, and you have no touch. Those guys that hit it really long, they have no wedge games. They don't putt very good. All they do is hit it really hard. And it's like that is so untrue. I mean, these guys got phenomenal touch around the greens. They're some of the greatest wedge players you'll ever see. Creativity, feel, touch with short little shots, but yet they can hit it, 350 yards. So it's like it's hard to compete with guys that got a wedge in your hand and can get it up and down and make putts all over the place.
Do you think the ball will change if this keeps going on the same? They'll make something to the equipment, or they're just going to say, listen, this is where it's going. Hey, catch up. It's just going to be a putting and wedge competition every week.
I don't know. It'd be one of the things that would cause them to put restrictions on certain things is a lot of the iconic golf courses that they're used to playing are becoming very obsolete because they're too short for how far these guys hit it. Like Colonial, they played, I think that was the first term of the year. I mean, that's not a very long golf course. It's a very strategic golf course, how you play. Well, guys have a different strategy because they can take it over trees and take it over dog legs and hit it up in the greenside bunkers now. So it's like that's the one thing, if the golf courses weren't so traditional in what they are and they could go play these bigger golf courses all the time, I don't think you'd see anything. But you don't want to lose a golf course like Olympic and Pebble Beach and all these iconic golf courses that they like to play their majors on, but
I'm trying to look up. I'm trying to see what the scores were. I don't think the scores are super low at Colonial this year too. Like I think I don't think. I mean, it was softer and there was hardly any wind, but it's like they still don't. It was under. Oh gosh, I want to say it was 12, but I'm trying to find information right now, and I'm just struggling to find it.
If they can keep those golf courses in the rotation and keep the scoring under control, I think they'll just let it keep going to what it is. When you start seeing guys shooting 40 under par on some of these golf courses,
that gets a little.
That's like out of control. So you'll start seeing some restrictions put on things.
I just think too. I mean, they can make changes to the golf. I mean, you can always grow up the rough.
Sure.
Tighten the fairways a little bit.
Yeah.
You're gonna piss off members.
That's right.
But it's like, hey, this is what we got to deal for a month.
For a month.
The green speeds are always, but I mean, those guys are so good anyways. But you don't have to lengthen a golf course by 500 to 1,000 yards. It's like just grow that rough up a little bit. Grow that rough up around the greens.
Make everything a little bit tighter. Yeah. A little bit tougher. A little bit tighter. So the
greens a little firmer.
Precision has to be, and your thinking has to be that much more creative and that much better to still maintain the integrity of the golf course and the play. Like you said, the members aren't going to like it much because they're not going to be like losing balls out there when they play. But
it's fascinating where it's going. Hey, you got to get to another lesson here. So you qualify for your first U.S. Open, 1980. Oakmont. And you were in college at the time, right? Playing golf in Nebraska.
I was a sophomore at the university.
Yeah. And you got to tell. So you played a practice round with Larry Nelson.
I did.
That day, and just because he goes on to win this golf tournament now. But
I got to the tee, and we were just made tee times, and Larry Nelson happened to put his name in there, so we went and played, and Larry Nelson was playing, and we were walking along, and he was not playing very well, so. We got to 9, and he's like, I'm done, man. I'm playing so bad. So it's like, okay. So we went on to play the back 9, and then he shot, what did he shoot? 75, 74, made the cut by one shot, and then shot at the time the lowest last 36 holes, and then went on to win the tournament. So it's like, it's just all those experiences. It's like, here's a guy that's a tour player that's playing like not very good. I mean, he's hitting shots like a 20 handicapper out there, and he's like walks off, says, I'm done, done for the day. I'm not sure I'm even going to tee it up this week. And then he goes on and wins. So that's how quickly the game can change.
You hear that more often now. I was listening to a podcast with Webb Simpson, and he goes, the times that I win, I think when Webb said he won the U.S. Open at Olympic, he goes, I was struggling on Wednesday hitting the golf ball. your expectations kind of drop a little bit, and you look at maybe your golf swing a little more, and you find that one thing, and you
And
just
sometimes it takes that one shot with the right thought that's like, oh man, that was it. And then it helps you carry on. I won the tour championship at Pumpkin Ridge, and that exact same thing happened to me. I'm standing on the range with my wife was caddying at the time, and she's got a Golf Digest book out, reading at something, and we're trying whatever's in Golf Digest because I'm hitting it so bad. She goes, try this, and it was like swing the V, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I freaking swinging the V, whatever the heck that meant.
Yeah.
And it's like I just started hitting some decent shots, and I went out the next day, and I ended up playing really good and winning the tournament. Because we played in the Pro-Am right before that. We played with Neil Lomax, so the old quarterback, NFL quarterback, right? So we're playing the Pro-Am with him, right? And we got done, and he goes, "Do you play this game for a living?" That's how bad I played in the Pro-Am.
Oh.
And then I went on to win the tournament, you know. So it's like it's funny how the game works.
Oh,
that
it
way,
is.
You know,
It's just
you just need that right one little feel and one little thought sometimes, and it just flips it that quick. So it's like that's why you always got to be kind of in the moment, going and looking for that guy, and not going, man, I can't do this, because you can do this. I just need to know the right thing to do, and it can flip it just like that. And it's like then you go on automatic, and then you start playing really well. So it's just such a fickle game that way.
It's what makes it so great too. You know,
that's exactly
right. There's nothing better when it's going good. There's nothing better than when it's going worse. You're just like, why am I doing this? I'm selling my clubs. I'm dropping my membership. But then it never fails.
You're never as bad as you think you are.
Correct.
You're never as good as you think.
We had that in football too. You know, you make a great play, and I can't wait to watch that in film. Like, oh, it doesn't look as good as I thought it was. Then one time you feel like you got destroyed. Like, oh, it didn't look that bad. It wasn't that bad. That's
never
the story of sports, really. I mean,
that is it. You know, in golf, you're always broken. It seems like it's like, oh man, I'm broken. It's like you're not broken. You're never broken.
Right.
You know,
golf always caters to the pessimist. It's always funny. It's like, I'm hitting it like shit. Yeah, it's like, yeah, are you really? Or it's just funny how you just think, and then but you kind of, we just set ourselves up though. You talk yourselves down to build yourself back up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, and it's the game. I call it the devil's game because I think of it a couple ways. Is it easier to make a birdie when you play or a bogey? It's way easier to make a bogey, man. It's hard to make a birdie. It's really easy to make bogeys. So it's like the game is set up already for you to fail, because it's way easier to fail than it is to succeed. So it's like, all right, how do we overcome that? So it's like, how do we look at what really what failures are or what successes are? So it's like, if I hit a solid shot that's in the fairway, it's like I succeeded, you know. But the better we get, our expectations go so high, is that same shot, that wasn't really that good, you know. It didn't feel that good. I didn't hit it that solid. So we lose perspective on really what we're trying to accomplish. Move the ball from point A to point B, from point B to point C, as efficiently as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just got to move around the golf course like that. Once I kind of learned that, is that kind of lowering expectations and just basically playing the game of golf to move it around. Not hitting perfect shots, just playing the game. I started playing a lot better because of it.
Yeah, no pictures are on the scorecard.
No, don't have to write any pictures.
Zero pictures. It's just the number. You tried to outlast Vijay Singh one time in the range. How'd that go?
Not good. You know, I can practice. I love to practice.
Right.
I love to practice. So we were at a tournament out in New York, and I missed the cut. He missed the cut. We were having breakfast on Saturday morning, and I looked at the guy caddying for me. I said, you know what? We're going to do the exact same thing that VJ does today. You know, and VJ's a huge practicer forever. I said, I can practice, so we'll see. So he walked out to the range. I walked out to the range. We were out there all day, man, from sun up to sundown. And I had my work cut out for me, let me tell you. So that dude can flat practice. But he sat there for a 2-hour period, a little over a 2-hour period, and hit nothing but his 4-iron for 2 straight hours. And I'm like, after I tried to do that, man, I was wore out hitting that. I'm like, holy smokes. So, but again, I like to practice, and I believe practice and the repetition of practicing, that's what makes you better, you know. But I was fortunate because I like to do it, you know. So there's some guys that just don't like to do it. I mean, but that's what everybody has to find, what it is they like to do, that helps them succeed. Me, I love to practice. That's where I derive my confidence, my beliefs in what I could do. Man, I was hitting it so good on the range. That helped me carry that over to the course. Other guys are course guys. They like to go to the course, play. Going back to Larry Nelson, I had a conversation when we were playing with him. And he said that's how he got ready for all of his tournaments that he played, because he was not a big practicer at all. So, but he liked to play. So he would always go out and play 2 balls. So, and he'd play worst ball. So he'd always play the worst shot that he'd play out of the 2 balls. And when he could shoot under par with his worst ball, he was ready to go compete in a tournament. So everybody has to find their own way of what it is that gets them ready and gets them prepared to go play the game. You know, that's the other great thing about it. There's no one way to swing a golf club. There's no one way to practice correctly. It's your way to be able to do it, you know, what is best for you and most efficient for you to perform at the highest level you can perform at. So, and that's kind of what you have to find and what works for you.
Yeah, there's no, that's what makes it so beautiful. There's no one right way.
Yeah, that's why I like teaching so much too, because it's like helping people get better at what it is, but helping them find their way of how to do it. You know, I don't teach you the same way as I teach another one of my students, because you can't, because everybody's so different in what they do, what they have, what they're capable of doing, what they're trying to do, what they can do. So it's like it's that's the fascinating part about teaching, because each person is individual, and you take what it is that needs to happen, but how can they do that to allow that the most efficient way for them to strike a golf ball solidly with power, with direction. And that's different with everybody. So it's like everybody that comes in that I give a lesson to, everyone is different in what I get to do. So it's not just teaching the same thing over and over and over and over again. Everyone is unique and different. So I get to experience something new every time somebody walks in the door, which is really fun and exciting for me, because it helps me too. It helps me become a better teacher. Me trying to figure out, you know, it's like, okay, and I'll have people do some strange things, but they have to do that because it's what functioned for them. I mean, that's why you see so many different golf swings now that are out there. You got a Matthew Wolff, and you got a Jim Furyk, and then you got a Tiger Woods. Those are 2 completely different golf swings. DJ, you know, just got all kinds of different things, but they're all producing a lot of the same results.
I mean, the biggest thing is impact.
That's it.
Every one of those guys are about.
They're really good at impact. They have to be. That's why they have control over their golf ball.
Yeah. How many lessons at your, because you helped coach the women's golf team at Nebraska for a few years, but at your peak, how many lessons did you think you'd give a year?
Oh, I'd give anywhere from 12 to 1,400.
Wow.
So that's a lot.
That is a lot.
But I like it. Again, I mean, it's like I found my second passion in life, I guess. You know, golf was my first, and I got to translate that into passing on a lot of the stuff that I had learned through my years of playing, understanding the game, you know, being fortunate enough to be around a lot of really good players, a lot of really good teachers, gaining lots of information from them, you know, and it helped me now in my second career, which is teaching, which I love just as much as I did when I played. So, you know, super fortunate to be able to do something that I love to do, you know, and being able to actually have 2 careers doing that, you know. Went from playing to teaching and love both of them just as much, you know, just as passionate about them, get as much satisfaction by doing both of those. So it's pretty fortunate, you know, being around a game that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's I can't thank you enough for what you've helped me out with my golf game. It's helped so much. We got to get to before we get you out of here, before we get to your next lesson here, but we got to do my 3 and out segment. 3 quick questions for you. One concert that you would go to. This band, the singer can be either dead or alive.
Ooh, who would that be? Probably REM.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm an REM guy.
Okay. Never would have thought
Never
that.
No, I kind of grew up with them. I like them.
Okay. I can see that. Favorite movie?
Oh, favorite movie? Probably Hoosiers.
No, that's a good one. I'd be up there. I just watched that the other night. I think it was on Netflix or Amazon. That's, man.
My favorite scene in the whole movie is when he measures the hoop.
Yeah, it's still 10 feet.
It's the golf course.
Right.
It's the same, because every golf course has 18 tee boxes. Yeah. They have fairways. They have 18 greens. They all look different, but they're really all the same.
Yeah. Your ultimate foursome?
Be Palmer, Hogan, and probably Tiger.
Yeah, because you're a Hogan guy.
I'm a big Hogan guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Faldo's got to be close in
Really?
there. I'm a Faldo guy too. I like Faldo a lot.
Do you like his commentary on
So,
what he provides?
I do.
You like his insight?
Yeah.
Were you a Johnny Miller guy?
No.
You didn't like the harsh. You think it was more of a.
He's too much of a know-it-all.
Yeah.
I'm this. I'm this.
Yeah.
I'm this. You know.
When I was doing this, when I did
Yeah.
this.
But you know, rightly so. I was a Johnny Miller fan when I was a kid. You know, and this is a true story. So it's at Tucson. So he's playing with his partners. They hit it on the green. It's par 3. He looks at his caddy because I'm sitting there watching him, you know, and he goes, "I think I need them to mark that." I'm like, I looked at my dad and I'm like, "Oh, what?" He's like, and he started talking to his caddy. He says, "Because that's right where I want to land that, and that ball's in the way. I think you should mark it." And his caddy goes, "No." So, because Johnny Miller, his caddy used to have to give him yardages to the half yard.
Yeah.
And he says, "That's right exactly where I'm going to hit it." And his caddy talked him out of it. Sure enough, he hit it. His ball landed right on the other guy's golf ball. Johnny Miller's ball went in the water, and the other guy got to replace his, and he was so mad. And I'm like, oh my God, that's how good those guys really are.
Yeah, that's what's so fun. It's like, people have no idea how good.
They don't.
They have no idea, because you see, it's just funny. Like, people get comments, and you know, I've played some good rounds. They're like, "You're gonna try to do qualify?" I'm like, God, what? You guys like, and I am a decent player, but like, I'm like, you guys have no idea how good those guys are. Like, they shoot 65 in their sleep.
Yeah.
Like, they can walk out in a casual golf round. They will shoot 8 under like it's nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah.
I go, it's such a different ball game when you play. I mean, I play with guys who struggle to make a career out of it. I'm just like, these guys are so good. How do they not do it? Because it's such a. I mean, in Monday qualifiers, you have to shoot 62 to get through now.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of talent that's out there, and
that's crazy.
Like, it's these guys are.
And it's unfortunate people don't get up close and personal and really watch how a great player plays the game of golf and how easy it is for them. I mean, it's fun to watch. You know, it's amazing how good they are and what they can do with no effort. Looking, you know, you put them in a very non-stressful situation. They're just out playing. You know, and it's like
they'll shoot 58.
They could easily. I mean, it's just like, every time they go out and play in that, it looks like they can, and they will at times when they make some putts. You know,
right.
It's just.
Well, people don't understand how hard competitive golf is. Competitive golf, they're playing a casual round or a little outing, whatever. There is nothing like it until you have to count every freaking shot. There's nothing like it. There's nothing. It's uncomparable. People ask me, what do you get more nervous of, playing a competitive golf event or football? I'm like, oh, competitive golf event, because I can screw up, and I have 10 other guys to help me out.
You're out there isolated on your own.
And I mess up, it's me.
That's right.
And football's such a reactionary sport, you know, because you kind of just go. Golf can be like that when it's good. Golf can be like that, but it's like you just have this little white ball, and sometimes you're like, shit, there's that over there, it's this over there, it's tucked. I got this crap here. It's like, you know, it's there's nothing like it.
That goes back to my first tee shot in the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I know we're getting run out of time, but you know.
I don't ever remember it. I couldn't even get the ball on the tee. I was so nervous because you get on the tee. Rocky Blyer was the guy announcing, so old Steeler great, and so he announces my name. We get to the tee. Man, it took me forever to even get the ball on the tee, and you just look down the fairway, and all you see is a fairway and people. They're just 5 rows deep, lined all the way down there. So finally got the ball on the tee, and I stood over it, and then the next thing I remember is looking at my caddy going, where the heck did that go? And he says, see all those people scattering over to the left? That's where it's at. So, I mean, it was crazy. But you got, just like anything, you get more comfortable. More times you put yourself in that situation, you get a little more comfortable, but it's very intimidating.
You get comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's the game of golf.
That's the game of kind of life too, and
Pretty
that's
much.
again in any sport. You get comfortable. Better. The more in football, you get when you start getting really good at football, you understand how to play tired. And it's uncomfortable feeling being tired, but you can know how to control it and play it. In golf, you get more comfortable playing nervous.
And if you're not nervous a little bit before you go, but it's a good nervous.
Right, it is a good nervous.
So it's not a demoralizing and debilitating nervous. It's just an excitement nervous that you're ready to go and you're ready to get out there and start doing what you want to do. So that's a good thing to have that, because you never get like, oh, this is no big deal. When you're like that, you're probably not going to play very good.
No, I've tried playing like that, and it never turns out good. Just to try, you're like, let's not. No,
you can't do that. No, you got to be excited about it.
You always have to find that happy medium between I don't give a f and you have to find that happy medium that where you can let it up, commit and hit shots, and you don't really you care about where it goes, but you don't care about where it goes.
Yeah.
But that's a game of golf in a nutshell. You gotta care but don't care. Do less.
You gotta do less to do more.
Right.
It's like what?
Yeah.
That's golf, man. It's opposites. There's so many oxymorons. It's like get ahead of it but stay behind it.
Right.
It's like got to swing left to make it go right.
Right.
You got to swing right to make it go left. You got to swing down to make it go up. You got to swing up to make it go down.
Right.
That's why it's hard to teach yourself, because instinctually the things that you think instinctively you should do the opposite. So if you're out there trying to work on your game and you're struggling with it, that's my first bit of advice. Do the complete opposite of what you think, and I guarantee you'll hit it better.
Yep.
I guarantee you. But it's hard to do that because your instincts are going, why would I even want to attempt that when it's probably what you need to be doing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. Shu, thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. All right, folks, that's another episode of the Mower to It podcast. We'll be back next week. Thank you.